Whilst discourse and envy in mighty kingdoms dwell, the beggar lives at ease within his humble cell, and a begging we will go, and a begging we will go.
Whatever we get, we seldom keep in store. We spend it all today, and tomorrow make for more.
And a begging we will go, and a begging we will go.
Exempt from all duty by land and by sea, we hope that the command that we never will be.
And a begging we will go, and a begging we will go.
Are you guys ready?
We're ready.
Yes.
Well, greetings. Welcome to Scoundrel's Alley. We're coming to you today from here at Hogg's Tavern in Fort Randolph in beautiful Point Pleasant, West Virginia. If you've never been here, the history of this area is fantastic. Starting back in 1774 at the last Battle of Lord Dunmore's Moor happened about a mile and a half from here. And then later on, of course, some scholars will argue that it was actually the first battle of the Revolutionary War. We're not going to talk about that today. Instead, we're here to talk about Scoundrel's Alley. Now, I know that some of you have already seen the first two videos put out. Well, this is actually our second video. You actually probably, hopefully by now, seen our third video. Our first two videos were the ones that just featured me. I do apologize. Our IT department got a little bit carried away. Wasn't supposed to put those out. Not to worry.
That's right. This is the prequel.
That's right. And not to worry, because our quality control has already had a little discussion with our IT department and has given him a very nasty look. Having said that, gentlemen, we do want to encourage you, though, to like that button, subscribe to this channel so you get all of our updates, and by all means, go ahead and share this with all your friends, because they all think you're fruitcakes anyway.
And let us know what you're thinking, because we always welcome your comments. If they're too stupid, we'll just delete them.
No, I intend to read those. Those are the best ones.
Out loud.
There are no stupid questions.
That's right.
Yeah,
well,
we hope that. All right.
Yeah.
Our purpose, and we did write this very specifically, the purpose was to bring the stories and realities of the lowest classes into the forefront of history in a lighthearted way. Basically, rogues, scoundrels, and the undesirables, as to what they are and to why it's important. I think, Carol, you found a quote by Dickens that you wanted to bring out that I think really brings out the idea of why it's important and how people did approach this.
Yes, we went looking to see who else had written or talked about scoundrels. And one of the most famous writers was Charles Dickens. And when he brought his book Oliver Twist out, which definitely included the people of the lower classes in a very, very blunt and ugly way, he took a lot of flack from that, a lot of criticism from other writers and from people who didn't like the fact that he was showing the lower classes in a scoundrelly kind of way, being very truthful about them. And he put this back to their criticism. He said, "I had read of thieves by the scores, seductive fellows, faultless in dress, plump in pocket, choice in horseflesh, bold in bearing, fortunate in gallantry, great at a song, at a bottle, a pack of cards, or a dice box, and fit companions for the bravest. But I had never met, except for in Hogarth, with the miserable reality. It appeared to me that to draw a knot of such associates in crime as really do exist, to paint them in all of their deformity, in all of their wretchedness, and all of the squalid poverty of their lives, to show them as they really are, forever skulking uneasily through the dirtiest paths of life, with the great black ghastly gallows closing up their prospects, turn them where they may. It appeared to me that to do this would be to attempt a something which was greatly needed, and which would be a service to society." He also included the fact that he said he thought a great deal of good could come out from showing something evil. It was very common through this period of time in the 1700s and in the 1800s to romanticize these types of people and to make them out to be heroes and people of someone you would want to emulate and want to be a part of. And so we also have taken that particular stand against that romanticism that we see even in our own time today, to show these people who and what they really were.
It is a thin line that I think we'll all agree we're going to have to walk. What is historically accurate as to what a modern audience will like as well. Because we want this to be entertaining, but we want you to understand that underneath this, these were nasty, horrible people, some by choice, some by just circumstance. Very quickly, so we'll get off to the right foot. I want you to understand that there are three particular people that we're emulating in this: the rogues, the scoundrels, and the undesirable. B.E. Ghent will write in 1698 in his book, in his first actual slang dictionary. I'll be discussing in later videos about the language itself. He writes about the rogue is a name which includes all of the other denominations. Now he's referring to the ancient order of rogues, which Harmon and Audley will write back as far as 1527. They'll be writing about that. When we look at rogue, though, the best definition we can, if I was going to cover them all from Audley's 1524 all the way up to 1890, the Rogue Dictionary in New York, one of the ancient order of rogues, early, by the time we hit 1890, it will be a professional beggar, eventually known as a male robber. So we see a very thing. In our time period, we're looking right at the middle of the professional beggar, as you'll see with what both Carol and Frank will be doing, more Carol than anything. Scoundrel was a hedge bird, according to Decker, according to B.E., is a man devoid of honor. Later on, it'll be referring to a sharper or a con man. My character is the sharper, very friendly in one way, but in the other way, completely devoid of all, very amoral. You've got my money, I want it. It's very, that would be the character I play. And the undesirable, well, that's going to really depend on whether you're talking about people, such as Carol's character, and you undesirable in some of your jobs. I think you're going to be talking about the jobs later as well. And undesirable as the people themselves, such as Penelope, or my wife Susan. She's a toil, a Kate, a sharper, I'm not a sharper, a Kate, a budge, a wiper, other things that she'll be talking about. She forced into it, she chose to be into it. So those are the things that we're looking at. Now, there's certainly a lot we could talk about, as I explained earlier, and I hope you do realize that this is the second of our videos, not the fourth, the actual second. The interesting thing about it, and what we love about this, we have already had people ask us questions. We've got a mailbag, and that's what we want.
Mailbag.
Oh, we want that. Folks, go ahead. Trust us. We read your comments. We read your questions. We might even choose to. And for every one of you who gets a question asked here right live on the show, you'll get two, not one, but two chances to come and sit down at my table and try to find the P. Good luck. All right, so I tell you what, should we just go straight to the mailbag?
Yes.
Let's go to the mailbag.
All right, I love the
Some
mailbag.
questions.
It is so. I just love the fact that we've actually had people sending mail into it. Let's see. This one is to Susan. This first one, Loveless in Las Vegas asks, seriously, you actually married him? You put that in there, didn't you?
No, I didn't put that in there. No,
Just trying to.
Gave me a chance to roll my eyes.
Yeah, thank you. This is going to be for all of us. Curious in Quebec asks, what forces a person, or does a person just choose? How did you decide to do what you did, and who you portray? That's a good starting place, because our first video that we just put out, we all talked about our characters. So, who wants to start? I think we can all touch on this.
Well, let me start.
All right.
Let me start, because Badger, my character, was born into this. He had no choice. His mother was a transport. He came to this country, or was born shortly after she came to this country, and this was his life. He knew nothing else. He was on the streets by himself from the time he was 6.
And I think your character within the Canting Crew, he was born into it. So therefore, there was a name for that.
A Palyard.
A Palyard, okay.
A Clapperdudgeon.
Or Clapper, okay. All right. So you were of that begging rogue.
That's right.
All right. Makes sense to me. All right.
I'm always begging.
Because that's right.
That's
The
right.
Parson's got his hand out again.
No matter what character he is.
All right. Well, Susan, what about you?
My character, Penelope, was actually wed into the Canting Crew. By marrying the sharper Christopher, she became part of the group, simply by starting as a Bo Peep, which is a lookout for the Christopher, and then moving on to other jobs, such as a Kate, which is, or Denny Diver, lockpicks, or thieves, actually. So I wed into it for love.
Now, the interesting thing about your story, that when you wrote your story, you actually took a lot of your own life experiences out of it.
It's easier to take your life experiences and know what you know than to try and make up a story that you have to remember.
Exactly.
So we just used the basics and fleshed it out a little bit.
So in real life, you are a thief.
Well,
You stole my
not
heart.
that's right. Exactly. For love.
Oh, please. Carol?
Well, my character Maggie was forced into it, being that she came from Ireland as an indentured servant. When she got her freedom, there was nothing else for her to do. In trying to find her children, she goes back to a city that will not accept her. She has no skills and nothing that she can promote herself with. And so she ends up running into a situation where she's offered an opportunity to get into one of these gangs. That's a way to survive. So she takes it as a survival type of thing and doesn't have any problems picking it up. Now, she is the beggar, she's called a mumper, which means that she came into it a little bit later, although she's just what would be called a general beggar. But in Ireland, where she's from, begging goes hand in hand with selling on the streets, like you were selling vegetables or something like that. So it's not considered something wrong or bad. It's just another job. So she doesn't really have any trouble sliding into that. It's the deception that she learns and picks up on how to cheat people to feel sorry for her that she becomes a little more scoundrelly about.
So you are part of the undesirable, just as she is, but just in
A different way.
a different way, a more honest way, you might put it, because you're looking at honest jobs to cover your
Right,
vagaries when
right.
she's just flat out
Stealing.
stealing.
Exactly.
Your
I
parents
don't.
are so proud.
I don't think of what I'm doing as stealing. I'm just making you feel good about the money you're going to give me.
That's right. And I'm going to annoy you till you give me some money.
I'm just going to do it underhanded.
Very politely.
Very politely. That's right, with a smile.
My character actually was bored into it. I took a lot of my information from Bamfield Moore Carew and George Duval in the early 19th century. And actually what fascinated me the most about these is a lot of their early life paralleled mine in a lot of ways. They were bored with what they were doing. They were raised in a proper family. They were educated. A lot of sharpers were. Most of the sharpers weren't in the Canting Crew per se, but they worked with them. Oftentimes I would use them. Of course, she's my wife. I'm using her as my sweetener, my bo peep, all these. Don't worry about the words. They'll all be explained in future
Get to
videos.
those later.
But when I was looking at how to develop my character, I was fascinated with the fact that I can take my character back into 14th century all the way up into, yesterday on the street corner. And as I look at that, they were better educated, they were better dressed, they walked both sides of the street. My character was able to come and hang with you guys, play in the street, but then in the afternoon, maybe dress myself up a little nicer and go into a tavern where the wealthier, younger sporting crowd was done, gamble with them, take their money, and then even dress myself even better in that night, go to the local widow's house and entertain for her, whether it be singing or gaming in her back parlor, and again, taking all of their money. My character, as jovial and friendly as he might be, is not a nice person. We say in my line of work, do not play this for money. So I think that's kind of a good overview of what we're looking out here for.
Yes.
So remember, like, subscribe, share,
And comment.
and
Tell your
comment.
friends.
That's right. And tell your friends.
And above all, we can't stress this enough. This isn't just for us. Keep thinking. What we say is what we know based upon we've researched, but we're more than welcome to listen to your research because sometimes you can find things out we don't know, and we want to know that as well.
Absolutely.
Have a good day. Keep thinking. We'll see you next time. All right, everybody, that's a wrap.
Hence exit when death through age approaches nigh. In pleasure thus we live, and in pleasure thus we die.